iRacing is amazing, but let's be real, some of its features are still stuck in 2010, and I've thought about some clever ways to make iRacing even better, and with your help here, this video might even get to the dev's feed, because if they would implement even half of what I'm suggesting here, or what you're suggesting in the comment section, I'm quite sure iRacing would be the #1. So, how can we make it? Let's start with tire data. Wouldn't it be awesome to go into the pits and instead of seeing those percentages of tires to see some actual graph of the tire performance during the stint, something like the F1 Manager has it, where you can clearly see how the tire evolved during the race on your stint, or you can even predict based on that tire drop-off what were your mistakes, and you can make a more clear analogy between this mistake made this difference in the tire wear instead of just seeing those percentages. Would be such a cool feature to have that will make beginners learn how to play into iRacing tire model, but also make experienced drivers to know if some technique is working better than the other. Another idea is to have new free tracks for training. For example, the Centripetal circuit. That's not a real life track, that's something that we can use for training purposes only. So we can test different things around there, force feedback, understeer, oversteer. It's a very good track for just practicing. So they could make different tracks with cones to try to do little different things like locking up the tires and see that your car is not turning as much, or trying to make some sharp turns, different things like this, almost like a training park, so to speak, where you can do whatever you want. It should be a sandbox experience that encourages you experimenting with the car and with different concepts of driving technique, from settings, etc. I think this will be something very useful and not that hard to do. Next on my list is making the driving sitting position a lot more intuitive, because right now you have to go with the camera tool, you have to use the X, Y axis, you have to align yourself with the horizon line, you can change the driver height, you can change the FOV. Everything is in different place, so it's not easy for someone that's new to just get the right position in the car. So something like having a dedicated interface for doing this, where you can do everything just from one go, would be amazing. Another quality of life feature will be a benchmark for graphic settings embedded directly into the game itself. So you change your settings, you press one button, and then iRacing will automatically run a benchmark, and in the result you will see the minimum FPS, some graphic data, and honestly you will just know if those settings will work for you and what performance you should be expecting out of those settings. Now, with the current developments in AI, I would expect to see a revised safety rating, because incidents should be weighed by severity. A little bump is not a 4x if nothing happened out of it, if there's no damage, if nothing really happened out of that 4x. Why it's a 4x? Like, it can be like a 1x or something like that. What they did with the rain, for example, was amazing. Like, it's hands down the best simulator for these conditions where it's raining. But in mixed conditions, when the track is drying up, what I would like to see is that the tires are overheating a lot more, and if you go into puddles to cool the tire down, you get a little bit more grip. This will be a little bit more realistic, and I would like to say this, I hope this is on their bucket list of features, because probably the rain is almost close to perfection. Small tweaks like this one could push it to a 10 out of 10, for example. A while ago, iRacing introduced active resets, and honestly it's an amazing feature because you're not wasting as much time as previously to learn some tricky parts of the track. But what I would like to see is the ability to have multiple active points and then just switch to whatever point you have. Say for example, I have an active reset point before turn 1, one before turn 5, and one before the last corner. So I can press a button and I can jump back and forth into one of these points, and this will make it a lot easier because I don't have to spend time going to that corner, set another active reset point, but also I can practice a little bit one corner, then go into another corner, and then come back to my first corner to see if I still got it. So I think it will be a great addition to an existing feature, and probably is not that hard to do it. The next one would be a little bit controversial, but I think that we should have a progressive wear of the car, especially for 24 hours races. The car shouldn't be the exact same. You just change tires and it's the same. I think the car should decay, let's say, a tiny bit. Not talking about having random mechanical failures. It's just that the car performance should be a little bit worse as the race progresses. So everyone's car will be a little bit worse, but you have to adapt your driving style. Maybe the car will start to understeer a tiny bit more, oversteer a tiny bit more. It will add a little bit of layer of extra strategy, extra preparation, and more realism. Next on the list is the tire model. And in my opinion, currently the tire model is perfect up until you go past the grip limit. When you're staying under the limit, basically, it works beautifully because everything you do, you can feel it. You have such a big window to adjust to your inputs and it feels like you're in total control. And if you're doing a mistake, it kind of makes sense and you have time to adjust. But as you get past the grip limit, then that margin shrinks. So it's so thin that it feels like you can't do anything. It feels like if you're trying to push, you will lose too much lap time. You will almost spin. You can still catch the car, but most likely will spin very easily. And I don't think it promotes the right mindset and the right skill set, because if that margin would be a little bit bigger, then right now the current skill gap will have to get bigger. Drivers will learn to just play in that margin. Even if it's a little bit bigger, it will still be small. So the skill level will increase. We'll have more confidence in pushing the car. It will promote not overdriving, but just pushing more speed into the corner, which ultimately makes you a faster driver on the track. And also, it will make that it's not just one driving style that works in iRacing. I would like to see an iRacing where you can drive in multiple ways and still have somehow similar results. Ultimately, there will be just one single way of driving that's going to be the fastest. But right now, if you go past the grip limit, you're penalized in such a harsh way that I don't feel it's fair, and I would like to see some change in regards to that. Next on my list is the UI part, and I will start with something that's so simple to do that I'm honestly baffled we don't have it. The ability to chat in the iRacing interface, not in the sim whenever you load into the session, but when you're just chilling, waiting for a race. You can see your friend list, but you can't send them a message. For some reason, you have to send the forum message to them. Like, come on, we're like in 2025. So implementing a chat system, a basic chat system, would be maybe the easiest way that you can make this game and the UI more entertaining, because you can just chat with your friend instead of going through Discord and going through all the hoops. You can just chat from the client itself. So I think this would be something we must have. And also in terms of UI, I would like to see a telemetry overlay, and I know they're working on changing the UI. I've seen some leaks, I've seen some pictures, and for me personally, the old UI is not a big issue, but having overlays, this will be quite big, because if I'm able to use just from iRacing itself the overlay to see the inputs, the telemetry, it means I don't have to install another software, I don't have to pay for it. And for beginners, again, we're thinking about people that just get into iRacing, they have no idea what an overlay is. So they're looking at track guides, they see my inputs there, and they're asking in the comment section, well, how do you see those green and red traces? And you know, it's not intuitive. So having it in the sim itself, not only that the telemetry overlay is probably the best tool to improve and understand what you're doing with the car, but not having to just download another app or pay a subscription, it's gonna be quite important. Also, a better way to see your results in the UI, like seeing your evolution in a season, or seeing the climb that you did, how much everything you got in that specific season or in a week. Things like this that you can find on other websites. Wouldn't be nice to have it in iRacing itself? You just go into your profile and you can see a lot of stats about your career. This would be something that will make a lot of drivers feel proud or just track their achievements. So having it in the UI in one single place could be a nice feature to have. So all in all, these were my ideas. I'm looking forward to see what you're thinking about them and what are your ideas as well. What would you like to see in iRacing, and do you think we will get some of these in the next build? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, thanks for sticking around, and looking forward to see you in the next one. Bye bye.